It's all good.
I don't know why I can't mute everybody, but if everyone can mute, that'd be great. Our Zooms are still like confused, I think. Okay. All right. Welcome to our Fit and Fierce team call. What is today?
The 21st.
The 21st of November. And I'm sorry, I got to mute some more people. Okay. We have Anita Miron on the call with us. She is a 2-time elite top 10 coach. How many times have you been elite?
2.
Oh, so both times you were top 10, that was your first 2 times being elite. That's pretty cool.
Yeah.
Yeah, so Carrie and I got to
be elite this year, though.
Yeah, don't worry. We're in that. We can start our own club.
We'll call it semi-elite.
Oh, man. So she's also a 15-star diamond coach. Million Club, right?
Yeah.
Million Club. What else is on your list of amazing accomplishments? Oh, just top 5 recruiter last year. I'm sure you were top challenge packs too. I mean, top everything. This girl is incredible. She's built an amazing business. She's an amazing person. Like I said, Carrie and I got to spend some time with her and her totally hilarious husband on the board trip. And I don't know, it was good times, and I'm glad I got to know you even more then. And so now, I don't even know, what are you going to talk to us about tonight?
Well, I'm going to talk about getting organized.
Perfect, because I am totally not.
In a very unconventional way of getting organized, but we're headed into the new year, and so things are just going to start ramping up. So I'm going to talk about that, and I'm going to talk about how to make your business into a business. So that's what I'm going to talk about.
Everyone's really excited about this, as you can see.
Praise Jesus. Literal praise Jesus. Sweet.
All right. I'll probably just Carrie and I usually just chime in when we have questions, and we'll just make it casual conversation.
Got it. All right. I'll take it away.
Yeah.
All right. So besides the fancy accolades, I am a mom to one 4.5-year-old. She's my number one accolade. And I have an angel baby named Jack. And I am pregnant with my 3rd. And I have a couple of awesome dog babies. And I'm married to an awesome guy. So that's kind of my rundown. That's kind of what I'm about. I started with Beachbody 4.5 years ago. I was struggling with my weight after having my first child. I was 210 pounds. And if you saw me now, you'd be like, what? But yeah, I got to 210 pounds, and that was really hard. I had a lot of issues with eating. And before I got pregnant, I had a lot of issues with drugs and alcohol. And so I am one of those crazy creatures who can just quit habits cold turkey. And I quit drinking the way I was drinking before and using drugs. I quit cold turkey when I found out I was pregnant. I quit smoking too, when I was a smoker for almost 10 years. And so what do you think I did to compensate for those habits? I started to stress eat. And I had my daughter, and I saw my coach online, and she had done Chalene Extreme and was using Shakeology. And I thought to myself, well, she's a family friend. If she can do it, I can totally do it too. I was working a full-time job also at the time, and I absolutely hated it. And so I was also looking for a way to get home to be with my daughter. So when I initially reached out to Leslie Cordes, who's my upline sponsor, I was more so looking to become a discount coach. I wasn't really sure about working the business. But then once I started to see the weight changes and the health changes that were happening to my body, I was totally bought in. I was totally all about it. And so I started to tell people about this whole thing and share with them what I was doing that was working. And I started to build this little side income, and I started to see that that was growing. And I thought, okay, maybe if I really focus my attention on this in my free time, which was an hour a day, really, that's all I really had, an hour to 2 hours a day, I could possibly leave my job. So within about 7 to 8 months, I was able to leave my job. And shortly after, I became a diamond. I was making enough to replace my income. So I left my job, and then 18 months later, I was able to retire my husband from his job. This was back in 2012 and 13. And so when I decided to go all in as a coach, and when I decided to make this my thing, I thought to myself, okay, I have to treat this like I treated my full-time job. I have to prioritize my life and my business the way I was kind of working my job. And so I thought to myself, okay, the number one thing that somebody does when they have a job is they report to a boss. And they know they have to report to a boss. They know they have to work to please this boss. And so I decided that I was going to become my own boss, and that I had to please myself, and I had to show up every day, and I had to work this like my job. So I put a plan in place, and these were some of the things that I started to do to really start to see success grow and breed in my business. And without these things, I don't think my business would have gone anywhere. I really structured my business like a CEO would. Unfortunately, having had a career before Beachbody, I was able to kind of take those habits and put them into Beachbody. So one thing I learned from my previous job that I incorporated into Beachbody was that number one, and there's going to be about 5 tips. And I promise I'll get you guys off of here and back to your families by at least 9:35. So you want to work from a list. And so I have what's called Google Calendar. And if you see my Google Calendar, it's like, okay, so there's a white background. It's purple. So you can see every single day, every part of my day is mapped out, right down to laundry, right down to putting the dishes away, right down to inviting to my challenge groups, adding to my network, reading my personal development, doing my workouts, drinking my Shakeology. Everything is dialed in, so that I wake up, the next day with a really great game plan. And I'm not just kind of guessing or running around like a chicken with my head cut off. That's how I felt in the beginning with my Beachbody business, like a chicken with my head cut off. I was like, I don't know what to do. I'll invite over here, I'll add over here, and I won't keep track of anything. And that landed me in my 3rd month as a coach not achieving Success Club. I know that was the problem, because as soon as I fixed my organization and fixed my lists and got down to business, I never missed a month in Success Club ever again. And Success Club 10 at that. So I strongly urge you to look into Google Calendar and spend 10, 15 minutes a night before you go to bed, just mapping and planning out your day. What's your day going to look like? And I kind of lived and died by my list. I had my list right by my, right by me, and I still do. And I'm like, okay, this is what's getting done today. Meal prepping and laundry and inviting, everything, business and your life. Okay. Number 2 is that when I started my business, I knew that real business owners invested money in their business, but I was not exactly sure how. Because no matter what, you have to invest money in your business. And a lot of companies and a lot of franchises and whatever, they go into debt for their business. They take out a business loan. We don't have to do that. thankfully. But I knew that if I wanted to really make this thing big, I really had to look into where I could put some money. So I decided that I was going to take 10% of my income. I was going to put it back in my business. But how? I wasn't an expert at ads. I wasn't an expert at marketing. I didn't know how to attract more people, but I did know that I needed help with childcare so that I could figure those things out. I did know that I needed help with cleaning my house to figure those things out. So the first thing I did was this is my golden nugget for all you moms out there. I signed up for moms with young babies. I signed up for a YMCA membership. And fortunately at the time, or getting a sitter. Fortunately at the time, our income level met the requirement for paying like $45 a month at the YMCA. And there's a 2-hour watch every single day. You can drop your babies off for 2 hours and get your power list done. Get some important things done. So like what I would do is I would kind of wake up with Scarlett and I would get her ready for the day and we'd play and we'd have breakfast. And before I got her up, I was up at 5:30 in the morning and I was doing part of my list. And for me, it was workout or drink my Energize, workout, and then drink my Shakeology and post on my social media and send out some invites. That's what I got done before she woke up at 7:30. So I had about 2 hours in the morning. Then it was her. I focused on her for a few hours. And then around noon, I would take her to the YMCA and I would get some free time. I'd get 2 hours where I can just focus on my business and focus on myself. And that doesn't make you a bad mom at all. It's good to bring your kids to interact with other kids and other babies and other people. So she enjoyed it. She had a blast. And so I brought her there every day for almost 3 years. Now she's in preschool. But so that's kind of where I allocated some funds. And also I talked to my husband. He was working full time and I said, okay, listen, I have this dream. I have this goal. And this is after I left my job and I started doing, taking her to the YMCA. My timeline's a little off. But I sat my husband down and I said, listen, I need your help. I need you to help with laundry. I need you to help with some dishes. And I told him what I was doing. And at first, trust me, he was a little bit like, huh? You're doing this like at home business thing. But I told him it was important to me and that it was my dream. And he saw how happy it made me. He saw that the workouts were making me happy. He saw that I was starting to get healthier and losing weight. He saw that I was affecting people's lives through my social media. So he agreed. Hopefully your spouse will be in agreement to give you a little bit of that extra time. Maybe, to hop on a team call, he can put the kids to bed, or like what my husband's doing right now, he's doing bedtime. Or if you don't have a hubby, ask, a parent to help you or a sibling, somebody to help you. That's where your biggest initial investment is going to be. And then that will free up some time for you to sit down and look at your business and see, okay, where do I need to research? What do I need to do to educate myself? Because a lot of this business has to do with self-education. We don't just come into this business and say, okay, I know what to do. I sat for hours researching how to optimize my Instagram, how to optimize my Facebook like page, and it works different for everybody. No Facebook like page system or Instagram works the same. It has to work for you, and you've got to get into a rhythm, and that's going to take time and an investment on your end. But of course, the best investment you can make upfront is asking for help. My next tip, number 3, is I want you to calendar your month. Okay, so every part of your month needs to be planned out. So, for example, last month, I did, and I have a video on YouTube called Strategically Planning Your, I'll type it out, Strategically Planning Your Month as a Beachbody Coach. This video, I go through my exact monthly game plan. And guys, that was back in 2013 when I made that video. You can tell it's kind of old and I look completely different. But I still work that plan. And I still give it to my team and my new coaches. That video has 33,000 hits on it because it works. The system works. So I would plan my month around certain events. And in any network marketing or multi-level marketing business, you have to plan your month around events. And so fortunately, we don't do home parties, but we do challenge groups. We do free clean eating groups or crock-pot groups. You got to get creative. So for me, I did crock-pot groups, clean eating groups, ab challenge groups, water drinking groups. I mean, I got creative. The last group I did was a plant-based group for people who wanted to try out plant-based living. I currently do not eat that way, but I was trying it out, and I'm like, you know what? I'll share my plan with other people and see how they like it. And it affected a lot of people in a positive way. So, 2013 seems like a long time ago. I look at the video and I'm like, dang, like, it looks so different. Okay, so where was I?
You were talking about
calendaring.
I want to because I've been doing some calls with my coaches, and with some of them, I've realized like that step right there, number 3, like calendaring out your whole month, it really puts the focus into like, you can't run this business in the way of, you're going to go about your month and you're going to see who you can find. Maybe you'll get some customers, maybe you'll get a few here, a few there, and let that determine your challenge groups. When it should be the other way around. You need to plan it out so that you focus on getting people to meet the requirement by that deadline. And I think that's huge. I mean, I think that's what even me, who is the most unorganized person ever, I've always done that step from day one.
Yeah.
That's a big one, but go ahead.
Yeah, it's absolutely huge. And without it, I would be like, what am I doing now? Like, it's the 21st. I'm not exactly sure what I should be talking to people about. Maybe I'll do a challenge group. But wait, I just did one. So maybe I'll do sneak peek. But wait, I just did one. So like, you got to make sure that you've got it all mapped out. And that's just being a CEO. That's treating your business like a business. That's any CEO shows up to their job with a plan. Okay. So you got to get that CEO mindset and be like, okay, I'm showing up with a game plan. Okay. And again, strategically planning your month as a Beachbody coach on YouTube, not hard to find. So the next 4th step in being organized is helping your coaches become organized like you. So you're not, I'm going to bust your bubble here for you retailers. You're not going to build that gigantic income, 6 figures plus retailing. You're just not. You might make $500 here, $600 there. You might even hit $1,000, and then it'll just go away. So the best way to make a sustainable income in your Beachbody business is to build a team. But you also need to be able to hold on, wait a second, Ashley. You still need to be able to retail, but you can't just retail. You've got to do a balance between both of recruiting, retailing, and training. So you need to be able to take your monthly game plan and, your list that you do and help your coaches duplicate it. So the main thing, I do is I do my challenge groups. I help people with their health and fitness. I recruit coaches from those challenge groups, and then I make them mini-me's. I tell them what they need to do. I show them the way. And how do I show them the way? Well, number 1, I lead by example. So I do the things. I don't just say the things. I do the things most of the time. I take that calendar, that nifty calendar that I create and live and die by, and I make sure they have it. Every month I create a calendar for my team. There are people who just don't get it yet on their own, and that's okay. And so that calendar is just, they're like, okay, I got this. Like, it's like I've got a game plan. I've got something in place. I can tell you my business really flipped when I started sitting my coaches down on one-on-one Zoom calls and group Zoom calls according to where they were in their business and said, okay, here are the things that I do step by step from start to finish. I always rewind myself back to the days when I was in my first 6 months, and I talked to them as if I'm still that coach. And I talked to them as if I were still doing the exact same things I were doing in my first 6 months. So now that I'm almost 5 years in, I do a lot of calls like this. I do a lot of one-on-one trainings. I spend probably 20 to 30% of my time mentoring coaches, where the other part of my time is spent building my business. But back when I was 6 months in, it was just on recruiting, selling challenge packs, running challenge groups, that sort of thing. And I kind of said that harshly. Helping people find the right fit in their challenge pack. That's what I was doing. Not selling challenge packs. But so I would kind of focus on, okay, what did newer coach Anita do? And here's how I did it from day one on, to the point where how did I achieve Success Club? So I would basically show them how I was onboarded, how I started, how I launched my business, how I invited my first 25 to 30 people, how I gave them my scripts. I gave them exactly what I use. So they're not going to go into their new business lost. They all feel supported and like, oh, okay, I know exactly what I need to do. So like the first call ends up being, okay, here's how we launched your business. Here's what we do to make sure that people know you're a new Team Beachbody coach. People know that you have a solution to offer and that you're a trusted advisor. Then I teach them how to start posting about their own personal fitness journey. And then I teach them how to start inviting to challenge groups, how to launch their first challenge group. So when you're just starting to build your business, that's going to be done on a one-on-one call basis. Now, when you get to like Megan too, Carrie, when you get to their level, they might do group calls or they might do a group training on their team page. It's something I do as well. So it kind of flips and changes. You can't start there. You've got to start on the one-on-one talks. Okay. And then move on. If your team starts to really grow and grow and grow, which is what you want, then you can move on to the maybe group trainings, group calls, things like that. Okay, so number 5, you need to find a system that works as far as tracking is concerned. For me, I use a notebook. Just pen and paper, seriously. I'm like pen and paper. It's not crazy. I tried Excel. I tried Google Docs. I tried everything, and I just couldn't keep up with it. I love to just write down everything. I'm a pen and paper girl. You might be too, but you've got to find a system that works for you for tracking who you're inviting, who you're talking to, who you're following up with, who you're adding to your network. A great system that you could try, and what I do, how mine looks, is I've got a tab for new invites. I've got a tab in my notebook. I've got a tab for people I need to follow up with. I have a tab for new friend requests. And so I just kind of keep track of those things in each tab in one notebook. And every month I get a new notebook. But on the follow-ups, when I do follow-ups, I go back to the month before, grab that notebook, and I start going through that notebook and following up with people. So my system isn't crazy and it's duplicable. I show my coaches what my notebook looks like. But some people like Teamzy or Google or Excel, and that's totally fine. But you've got to have something in place where you're really putting everything on a pretty, spreadsheet or written out so that you know what you're doing every day and you have a system in place. So when you sit down, okay, I've got these people I need to invite, these people I need to follow up with, so on and so forth. My last tip for you is you need to balance your business. When you go back to tip number 1, working from a list, you've got to balance your business with your family. I remember my first 6 months, my husband and I were out to dinner, actually a movie, and I was on my phone the whole time because I had no system in place. I was just working whenever I felt like it. And I ignored him the entire date. And he finally said to me, "Are you here? I'm not happy with this situation. You're constantly on your phone. You're constantly ignoring me." And I was like, "Oh, I'm trying to sign somebody up with a challenge pack." And he's like, "I don't care. You are ignoring your family. You're ignoring your kid. You're ignoring me, and it's not good. And it's me or your business." Like, it came down to like that kind of situation. And I knew right then and there I had to figure out how to balance my work life and my family life. So I set business hours. For me, back when my kiddo was home from school, I made sure that I had these chunks of time that I worked my business around her life and my life. And when it was her time and it was my husband's time, I shut everything down. I waited until it was a chunk of time to work my business, say like 8 p.m. when, I've got a little time. I know that chunk of time I can get back to those messages. I'm not checking them all day with my kiddo at my hip and my husband getting upset, because what's going to happen is you're going to end up resenting either your family or your business, and you don't want that. So you've got to be in charge. You've got to say, okay, these are my hours that I'm working, and these are the hours I'm not working. And when those hours of not working are happening, you have to shut it off for your family's sake and for your health. So during the work hours, though, you've got to be really, really focused and driven through in that time. Everything else has to be off. Blinders on, TV off. It's got to be time where your kiddo's not pulling at you. It's got to be focused time. And guys, it does not take 8 hours to work this business. In fact, in my first year and a half, when I built to becoming a 6-figure earner, I only worked my business max 4 hours a day, sometimes even 3. And that was tough. At this point, almost 5 years in, I work my business maybe 3 to 4 hours a day still. Because I've got my hours dialed in, I've got my priorities set. And this business does not take a ton of hours. In fact, in my first 6 months, getting to Success Club every month and building to a point where I could, see that I may be able to leave my job, I worked my business an hour a day. I did a power hour. And then as my team grew, my income grew, I kind of saw the fruits of my labor. And I said, okay, I can work this 2 hours a day and put in a little more time. And it grew and grew and grew. But you've got to set your business hours and live and die by those business hours, because if you go out, you start messing around and on your phone and ignoring your family, it's not worth it. It's all for nothing. So those are my 5 tips. And I will now open the line for questions in case anybody has questions for me. I am glad to answer them.
Hey, Anita, I have one. So like our team has been dabbling a little bit with TeamZ. I know a lot of people have been trying to use that, and just Google Docs and stuff like that. Could you just go in a little bit more about your notebook system that you use? Because I know that some people said that they were paper and pencil kind of people.
Yeah. Okay. So every day I would wake up with my Google Calendar. So I had my list in place, my plan. And I would have, so my notebook would be tabbed. So each notebook would have 3 tabs. And it would be like, this one's kind of skinny. I don't know why. But I would usually have like a 5-star, like with 3 to 5 tabs. And the first couple of tabs were invites, like new invites, people I just touched base with. I would put their name, the date I touched base with them, and the date I should reach back out to them. If the conversation just kept going with them and I don't need to reach back out with them, if they're like, let's do this, then I cross their name off and they add them to the tab and I always have a tab for new coaches and customers so I can keep track of who I'm signing up. So then the next tab would be follow-ups. So who am I following up with, and what are I would put a note next to it. What did the conversation look like? What did we talk about? Then I put the date. And then additions to my network. So the last tab would be people I'm adding to my network, and I would put their name and the date I added them to my network. And then I would try to put like form, so family, occupation, recreation, and I would make sure that and message, and make sure I followed form with these people for a little bit before I started inviting them. So I would do form with that list of, new people. I would invite older people from my newsfeed, not my newsfeed, but my friends list. And I would keep track of all the new coaches and customers I was signing up as well. So, and then the following month, I would start a new notebook, and then I would go back to the previous notebook to do some more follow-ups, pull some more follow-ups out of that old invitation list. So the notebooks were kind of being interchanged. I used to have the biggest stack of notebooks, and my business has changed a little bit recently. I don't do that as much. I should get back to that, though. I do really need to get back to that. But that's what I did for about 3 years straight.
That's great. Thanks.
Yeah, no problem. Team Z propagates a list of people from your Facebook list to target. How did you create your list of your target? Oh, girl. So I added everybody from groups, mom's groups. So all the people I added as friends were targeted. Like I got to like 4,000 something friends from groups, and all these people were targeted. Like I knew, they were moms, they had kids, they were nursing, they were cloth diapering. Those were things I was interested in. So I was focusing on targeting people that were like me, because I was a 29-year-old or 25-year-old new mom, with a baby, and I was cloth diapering and nursing, and I was on all these support groups. So now I'm in different support groups. So now that with my new precious fun diagnosis, I'm in a ton of Hashimoto's groups. But I'm not using that. I'm not using that to like build my business, but you can see that I truly am part of groups that I'm interested in.
But you just end up building your business with, who you attract. And I was going to say, you guys should take a look at Anita's social media. I kind of touched on, I made a post in our team page today about, really making that connection with your audience, because, she's adding to all these lists from all these groups, but she's also talking about her interests like big time on her social media pages, like very, very consistently. I mean, you really know who Anita is and all about Anita before, you even have a conversation with her just by looking at her Facebook page. And that is where I think, you can add people all day long, but unless you're posting and really making that connection with the people that you're adding and being aware of that, nothing's going to happen. So sorry, I sound like Kermit.
It's all good. I do too. I've got some weird things going on in my throat. Any more questions? I told you 9:35. It's 9:38. Sorry.
Oh, I didn't even realize it. I don't have anything. That was awesome. And I realized, I worked from a spreadsheet. Only Megan understood her spreadsheet. And I feel like I need to get back to doing that, because I don't know, like things were better when I just worked off of that spreadsheet. I wasn't like in all different directions. And what's funny is what we did in 2013, 2014 is exactly what we're doing now. So
I think we got cloudy when we tried to make everything easier, and we just provided so much information and so much training and a big website and a big, like YouTube channel and like all these different things to simplify, when we really ended up complicating it. We didn't want people to try to reinvent the wheel. And, we handed all these tools over that spent hours and hours doing, and would do it again. But when we look back, it's like 2020, and you're like, oh, that paper and pencil system you had with your calendar and your notebook, that worked.
Yeah.
Use that again.
Yeah, go back to that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Good reminders, Anita. Thanks.
Yeah, no problem.
I really appreciate you.
Thanks for having me on. You guys have amazing leadership and Carrie and Megan, and I adore them. So I appreciate being on tonight.
Yay. Thank you so much. Okay, go spend time with that hubby.
Bye, guys.
Bye-bye.
Bye.